Hey everybody, this is Mark from Myopia is Mental, and in this video we're going to talk about hunting. No, I'm not a hunter. I don't go hunting or anything like that, but I found this interesting post some time ago that had it looks like a picture of, it was the Basic Hunter's Guide, a publication from the National Rifle Association. This publication book came out in 1982, and I actually found a copy of it and I ordered it because I like to see this kind of stuff. Now, one of the things that I found particularly interesting in my journey to improve my eyesight, I started reading a lot more. I love reading books. Sometimes I don't have time to read books, so I'll get audio books and listen to them. But I've listened to a lot of books over the past 5-6 years. I love it, enjoy it more so than I did when I was a kid. But in this video, I'm going to talk about this post I saw. I saw it in another group or forum. I can't remember exactly which one it was to credit who it was, but thank you for posting that because, again, I find this stuff fascinating. And I love, like I said, finding stuff about eyesight improvement in books that don't even have anything to really do, or the main focus or purpose of the book isn't even to do with eyesight improvement. I've come across several books like that over the past few years. So here's what this publication said, and I can't wait to get my copy of this book because, like I said, it's interesting to see this kind of stuff. This was back in 1982, and one of the sections, it said this: improving vision through eye training. No matter how good your vision is, it can be improved. There are several eye exercises which will sharpen and train the eyes to see clearly and perceive accurately. I love that word that they used, clearly and perceive accurately, because we perceive vision. And like I said, they spelt it out pretty good right there. Before the hunting season starts, it is wise to spend time outdoors as if you were actually hunting. Try to find as much wildlife as possible, stalking it within range before it becomes aware of your presence. Make several such trips at different times of the day and under different weather and light conditions. This was another thing that I found pretty interesting, that they said, do it at different times of the day under different weather and light conditions. I'm going to come back to that in a moment. On these expeditions, take note of your surroundings and commit the scene to memory. Notice the fine detail of the landscape and look for animal tracks and droppings. Look for movement. Few animals stand motionless for a long period of time. The tail of an animal is usually seen first. However, slight head or body movements may also be detected. Notice which way the wind is blowing from the movement of the leaves. Even though it may be impractical for you to go into the woods before hunting season starts, you can practice eye exercises. While riding in a vehicle, focus on distant objects and try to divine as much detail as possible. Keep your eyes moving. Practice reading road signs as far down the road as possible and try to identify the license numbers of passing vehicles. See how much information you can retain. Color slides are also an excellent aid to train your eyes to see and register objects accurately. Flash the slides on and off the screen. Then try to recall everything you saw in the slide. List everything you can remember, colors, objects, activities. Try to increase your speed of recognition by flashing the slides on and off the screen more quickly. This is particularly interesting. Again, this is 1982 that this occurred. So well after all the stuff that William Bates put out with the Bates method and all of that. But they were talking about eyesight improvement. And again, this isn't the first book I've come across, older books that I've come across that talked about eyesight improvement. Again, even though the book really wasn't geared and focused on eyesight improvement, but they're saying that you can improve your eyes. And this is exactly correct. This is the thing we've gotten from being outside, being in nature. I mean, already the statistics are showing that in 25 years, it's 2025 now, in 25 years, 2050, we're talking 2050, which is a very short time from now, half the world's population is going to have myopia. That's not a long time. That's what they're predicting at the rate that it's increasing. And I believe that's the case because we don't spend as much time out in nature that we should be. When I'm outside, I see all kinds of movement around me. And that was one of the first things that I noticed when I got that clear flash across the yard here. Looking at that license plate that's there in the background, I was noticing movement of things around me. I wasn't just looking at a stationary object. Everything around me was moving. The wind was blowing on some of the bushes and the leaves and stuff. I could see birds and animals all around me in my peripheral. And it was that movement, I believe, of noticing all of that that made my central vision sharper. And this is a key to improving eyesight. We don't just see one thing at a time, we see everything at the same time. But if you spend all your day inside a room, a closed in square box that doesn't move, it doesn't help your peripheral. Your peripheral goes to sleep. It gets dead. It's deadened. And there's no activation of that until you put yourself in an environment that can wake up those muscles that have not, and those sensors in your eyes that have not been used for such long periods of time. Over the weekend, my wife and I, we got a little getaway for just the two of us. We kids went to, family's house, and they had their fun. We had our fun. The Friday night we spent in downtown Napa, and we walked the river there, and we got stuff to eat. We spent time outside just walking around and hanging out. We even ate at one of the restaurant patios and sat in the patio area. So it was an amazing time. And then that Saturday we spent half the day at Six Flags Discovery Kingdom. And so it was nice just being outside, being around so much movement. My eyes were so clear and sharp the entire time. So it was such a good experience. And like I said, I love being outside like that. Even like coming out here in my backyard, just sitting for a while and watching nature, watching the trees, the bushes over there. A few minutes ago, there was a dragonfly that was flying around the bushes, and I didn't directly see it at first, but I saw movement over there, and I keyed in on that movement and started looking at it. And that said, oh, okay, there's a dragonfly over there. And then there's some birds and, squirrels running around and stuff like that. I hear these sounds, I see the movement, and my eyes react. It's that peripheral movement. So these things are quite important. It's quite important to see this stuff. And if you're spending, like I said, all your day in a square box that doesn't have any movement around, your peripheral, it's going to go to sleep. It's going to die off. It's not going to use those sensors in the eyes to see stuff the way you should be seeing. So getting out and having movement is super important. A couple of things that they've talked about here, which I found particularly interesting. And again, Bates has talked about this stuff since the 1900s, for those who've heard of the Bates method or, anything about it. But he talked about that, I like this. Make several trips at different times of the day under different weather and light conditions. Don't just do things in the sun. Do it when it's raining. Do it when it's cloudy. Do it when it's sunrise. Do it when it's sunset. Different times of the day to work on your eyes. And I talk about this all in my community. So if you're not familiar, I do have a community. You can join at a monthly or yearly. You can even, for now, purchase at a lifetime, which I'm going to be taking that option away soon. So if you want to get into this community for a lifetime, the option is there for now, but it will be going away soon. You can see the link in the description, or link in the description below or up there. Click the link above and find out more about joining my community to help people improve their eyesight. But like I said, I found it fascinating that they talked about this in this publication, doing things at different times of the day, different lighting conditions. What was the other thing? Look for movement. Again, look for animals are not, they're never motionless for long periods of time. They might stop for a minute or whatever. They might twitch. Squirrel's tail might, flutter around or whatever. I see that all the time out here, but they're not stationary for long periods of time. There's always movement from animals, and I find there's also always movement from wind. Even the slightest bit of a breeze can move the leaves of a tree or a bush or something like that. And what was the other thing? And Bates talked about this also as well. Trying to see things at a distance, distant objects, trying to key into license plates that are coming towards you, looking as far as you can. I've talked about this in my community and on my programs and my ebook. Again, if you want to get the ebook, easy way to start, not a lot of money to spend out, just to learn 5 simple techniques to improve your eyesight naturally. Get the ebook. Again, you can click the link above or in the description below. But these are simple little things that will help improve your eyesight. And the final thing that they were talking about, view color slides. They're not saying just a solid color slide. This was way back in the day when you had those slide machines that rolled around and you could flash different color pictures, So they're saying take color slides, flash it on a projector or on a screen or something like that. Look at it for a few seconds, try to pick up as much detail as you can, and then turn it off, and then try to recall exactly what you said. This is also from the Bates method. I kid you not. This is from the Bates method of using visualization. You're imagining the scene. You see a glimpse of the scene, and you're imagining the things that you saw. Try to recall and recreate those things in your mind. And the faster you get at identifying those different picture elements in that scene, and notice them with clarity and things like that, then the better your eyesight will get. You'll get faster at doing it. So like I said, it's funny to see all of this stuff in these old publications, and now they've slowly snuck their way into other things, but it all stemmed back from what Bates was talking about. This is the great thing about it. Bates talked about this stuff, and everybody's like, oh, Bates method doesn't work. That is Bates method. That is it right there. What I do, it's rooted in Bates method. I just realized that movement was a key essential part of it. So like I said, I talk about more things in detail about how I've improved my eyesight, and not just from the swinging and the palming and the things like that, but all of these things are rooted from back then. But if you just apply them daily, you will see your eyesight improve. And I know there's the battle of, do you do this with glasses on, glasses off? You've got to reteach your eyes how to do this stuff naturally, without your glasses on, preferably, when it's safe to do so. So take your glasses off and notice things. It doesn't matter, what your prescription is. You could be negative 500 for whatever, for all I care. It doesn't matter. You should still be able to see something, size, shape, and color, and movement. And once you start keying in on those movements, and just being aware of your surroundings, of what's going on around you, you'll see your eyesight improve, and it can improve very quickly. So anyway, that's what I wanted to talk about in this video. This is Mark from Myopia is Mental. We'll catch you on the next one.